A good dribbler always touches the ball as light as possible, using variety of options, inside of the foot, outside of the foot, the weak foot. So sometimes we get caught losing our balance because we are trying different things to be unpredictable by the opposition. Because you're going into one-on-ones with the opposition, when they touch you, when they push you, or sometimes we make eye contact and not look at the ball and look at the opposition, now we kind of lose our balance. The best way to improve your balance when you're dribbling is to lower your body. Not initially, because as you're approaching to the defender, because you're running at full speed, lower your center of gravity a little bit. But as you get tight to the opposition, now this is when you really need to lower your body. I'm not telling you to go like this, but I'm telling you to kind of be more steady on your feet. So if the opposition touches you, if the opposition pushes you, now you can actually have better balance generally, because the lower your center of gravity is, the more balance you're gonna have. Also, lowering your body will be able to give you idea where the ball is, because you're closer to the ball and now you have a better vision of seeing the ball. This is one of the reasons why I tell you to keep it simple. Because if you are complicating things, it makes you lose your balance more. So make sure, keep this lowering your body tip in mind, because it's also gonna help you with our third tip as well. When it comes to drills to improve your balance, I prefer you not complicate things. If you have a friend, that's preferable. But if you don't have a friend, just have a single cone. Try to approach to the cone as fast as you can. Don't stop. And as soon as you are getting close to the cone, maybe you are a meter or two away from the cone, now you lower your body as you're passing by it. And make sure you stick your arms out, pretend like you're pushing the defender away from you. Number 2 is deceleration. This is exactly why I say decomplicate things. I do it too, we all do it. If you don't complicate things, it's gonna be much simpler than it actually looks. So basically, what we're focusing on when I say deceleration is as you're approaching to a defender, reduce your speed. You either come to full stop or you slowly start slowing down. Because the main goal of dribbling is to fool the defenders, right? If it's just simply slowing down or fake passing or fake shooting, you just gotta do everything it takes to beat the defender in front of you. And in my opinion, deceleration is the simplest way that you can beat the defenders and probably the most effective way. Because when you decelerate as you're approaching to a defender, you are killing their forward momentum. So you're killing their intensity. You are basically the one that's dictating what's gonna happen next, rather than how they're gonna push you away or how they wanna position you. Because the most important thing when it comes to dribbling is do not let the defenders dictate what you're gonna do. But don't get confused deceleration by just killing the ball and waiting there for 5 seconds. No, now you killed everyone's momentum. When I say deceleration, as you're approaching to a defender, quickly slow down or stop, maybe half a second or a second maximum. Then immediately, which will be our next step. But before we get to our next step, I'll give you a couple of drills that you can do to improve this deceleration move. The first step, we talked about your balance. Now we are decelerating. So we have the same cone setup. If you have a friend, that's fine. Our goal is to get to the cone as fast as you can and stop about a meter or two away from the cone. You might think that it's easy, but it's not that easy, because as you're slowing down, you're gonna have to take smaller steps with the ball. As you're dribbling, you have better control over the ball. So this is the idea of deceleration. When you slow down, you have to have better control and you have to have lighter touches so your exit can be perfect. Do each of these for 10 minutes. So in total, it'll probably take you 15 to 20 minutes to be able to master this basics of dribbling. And number 3 is of course the acceleration, basically your exit. What you do after you stalled to eliminate the defender. When it comes to the acceleration, we have to connect your balance, we have to connect your deceleration and the acceleration. So now we are at the final step. So basically think of deceleration as your approach and your acceleration as the exit, which is the conclusion. And this is when you can decide if you master the first 2 steps, whether if you're gonna fancy it, whether if you're gonna do roulette, whether if you're gonna do elastico, or you can simply just fake pass it, fake shoot it. Those are the simplest ways to dribble around the defender, and in my opinion, the most effective one. And this is when the decision comes to play as well. How are you gonna exit? How are you gonna exit really depends on what you're capable of. Preferably, you should be able to use your left foot and right foot the same way when it comes to you running with the ball, because this is really gonna fool the defenders, and that is the goal, to dribble. If you don't use your left foot, or if you don't use your right foot, if they're not as good as one another, you are very predictable. And you need to be unpredictable to be able to be a good dribbler. So the main goal is you dictating your next move. The general rule of thumb is about 2 meters away from the defender when you decelerate and when you decide to make your exit. Obviously, this is gonna change depending on the circumstances. In case maybe there are 2 defenders instead of 1, and your move might change. Maybe you're gonna be closer when you stop, or you're gonna be further away when you're stopping. When it comes to the drills, we have the same cone set up, or you have a friend and you're running full speed towards the cone and you're stopping or slowing down 2 meters before you approach to the cone. You're gonna focus on your exit. I want you to try to use your left foot or your weak foot to exit. I want you to get used to this, because the better you can do this with your weak foot, you already can do it with your dominant foot. Because goal, as I said, is to be unpredictable. And the better you can do this with your weak foot, the more unpredictable you're gonna be. So now we covered the 3 fundamentals to simple dribbling. We get to our bonus step, which is your anticipation and your instincts. No matter how simple you're keeping your dribbling technique, you still need to have some anticipation and instincts naturally. It's all about faking the opposition, and it's all about anticipating when are they gonna reach to tackle you, or are they gonna reach to tackle you? Because a smart defender ideally will hold back and wait for your move. What goes through in your head when you're going one-on-one with a defender?
100%. I think a big part of it is instinctual.
The anticipation of your move as well as what the opposition is gonna do. That's the question that brings us here, where how do you anticipate that? How do you manage to predict your next move? The first question, as far as I know, that your weak foot is not as good as your dominant foot, obviously. The defenders observes this.
Yeah.
And the defenders obviously just wanna naturally force you to your weaker side.
Yeah.
And how do you make yourself unpredictable even though they know that you eventually gonna take the ball to your dominant side?
I think it's all about bait. So I think you bait the player, even though they know that you're going on your right foot. It's baiting them that you're going to go to your left. So taking little touches to your left foot, and then you use a change of pace, or you explode on the other side, on the right side. So you actually move them away from the space that you want to attack the space that you end up going to. I mean, that's what Messi does.
Yeah.
Messi always goes to his left.
Yeah. I know.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Like he just takes touch, and then.
I know, it's so predictable.
It's very predictable.
The move is very predictable.
If I play against the same player in the same league for a lot of years and he starts knowing exactly who I am, but I start taking it on my right, and he's not gonna expect me to take it on my left foot ever.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I take it on my left foot, I'm gonna have way more space than he usually has. So I'm actually gonna still be dangerous. Yeah. But it's also important to mention that having a left foot is very important.
Obviously.
Like, it's not like if you are extremely one-footed, it's an issue.
Yeah.
You can never be that dangerous.
No.
So even if your weak foot is not as good as your right foot, you have to have the basics of crossing a ball, passing a ball, still hitting a ball with a decent amount of power on your left foot. Let's not forget about that. You still have to have a left foot to a certain extent.
The weak foot is the first thing and the most important thing you have to improve if you want to be at a certain level.
Yes.
You can't just have one foot. If you're young watching this video, you better get that weak foot near as good as your dominant foot. The next question is, you have the ball on your feet and you are running towards a defender. What goes through your head? Do you plan it, that your next move, or do you just kind of wing it? Do you say, whatever the reaction I get from the opposition, I go one or the other way?
I think there's multiple layers, but the two most important layers of this question is obviously the player in front of you that you're taking on, and the person that's covering for him. So if the person is covering for him, you could see behind that he's covering inside. You try to beat the player in front of you outside, and vice versa. But that's layer 2. Layer 1 is obviously the defender right in front of you, which side is he giving you? Obviously, you have to look at his feet. You also have to look where you're going, but you have to look at his feet, where he's going, which side he's giving. If he's giving left, you try to cut in. If he's going right, you cut in. And this is where skill and taking little touches and then big touches come into play. Because if you want to go inside, you have to obviously make him think that you're going outside and then go inside. So So it's the little touches that you take. But you have to look at obviously his body position and all that stuff. It's very important. So for me, it's not a plan. It's very instinctual, and it's a reaction of what the defender is showing me. That's just how I do it. I don't know about other players, but.
And I think that's what basically, in my opinion anyways, separates players like Cristiano Ronaldo versus Messi.
Yes.
Where one is more of an instinct, where you're born with it.
Yes.
You're not really trying too hard.
I 100% agree, and I think a very good example of someone that does the same move all the time, but it's very instinctual. He uses the right timing to do it. Other than Messi, of course, because he's an alien, he's a freak, is Robin. Robin always cut inside and shot, and people would be like, oh, he's so predictable. But he just waits for the right time of when the defender kind of twitches or goes in or bites, and then he goes. He was unplayable. It was impossible to defend him.
The simplicity makes it more
Very
challenging.
simple, and he did the same thing over and over, and he made a career out of it.
The next question, when you're going 1v1 against the defender, what are you looking at the defender? Personally, myself, I look at the bottom half. I don't do much eye contact. I'm nowhere near as good of a dribbler as you. Like that's not my style. So what do you do? Like, do you do any eye contact, or do you just look at the body movements?
I do exactly what you just said.
Okay.
To be honest, it's looking at his body position, which is his bottom half, his hip, where he's focused, where he wants me to go, and where I want to go. Obviously, I make that decision after. But it's also, like I said before, it's looking at the guy behind and who's covering where. I don't want to cut in, but there's a guy that I'm gonna just stumble into.
As you mentioned, the second and third guy, basically the one that covers. I think, in my opinion, it's easy to beat the first guy. I think more important to figure out the second or the third guy, which is because they're coming with a purpose of just to win the ball. What do you do for the second and the third guy, which are the hardest part of the dribbling?
Well, I think it's always when you're beating the first guy with a move, the second guy is also watching you. So if you take a touch inside and then outside, remember, you're not just beating the first guy. The guy behind him also thinks you're going inside for a split second. Gives you kind of an edge or like an advantage. Kind of. But also you have to see where they're covering. If you cut in on a guy and there's three guys already covering the inside, then you're just gonna lose the ball. You're gonna beat the guy for 2 seconds and then you're gonna lose the ball, which is obviously ruins the plot
of the game, where you're just stalling.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what you're planning for is to cut in and score, cut in and assist, or cut in and keep the ball for your team. But if you cut and beat the first guy and you go exactly where the third and second and third guys are covering, then what you did was very useless.
This one is about the space between you and the defender. How much space do you want to leave personally when you're getting to the defender before you make the move to either side? Because you don't want to be too tight. You want to be out of reach.
I think the space between me and you is a good space to dribble, to be honest.
If you're quick.
If you're quick. It also depends on how fast the guy you're playing against. It depends on how big the guy, how quick he moves. Like if I'm going against a 6'5" center back that can't move as quick, I probably want to do it further away from him because he can't react as fast. Tighter space means that he could just put his body, he could wrap me around him, which just makes my life a lot harder. I'd say 3 feet is a good way to have the, because even if you take a touch, you can't just intercept. You have more space to play with. If you're on a 100% sprint, like Mbappe, for example, it could be a lot further. It could be a lot further. The closer you are when you're dribbling, you're taking little touches, and then you're taking a big touch. That's how you dribble, right? You have to make the defender commit to you.
So you do, not me.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to make the player commit to you first. You have to dribble towards the guy, not far away from the guy. So you dribble towards the guy. As soon as space like that, now it's time for you to kind of deke him around or go inside, outside.
A good dribbler is actually the one that can go from inside to outside or from outside to inside. And this exactly reason what confuses the defenders the most. So you actually have to need to improve this ability so you can confuse the defenders. And this is when actually thinking like the defender would give you the benefit. Because think about it, I am dribbling towards you and you are the defender. If I am coming towards you using the inside of my foot with the smaller steps, and as I'm approaching to you, I have to slow down obviously. So when I do this, then I can quickly switch to the outside of my foot and take the ball to my dominant side. And obviously it's a really good idea to be able to use both of your feet, left and right. Doesn't matter which one is your dominant or which one is your weak foot. And this really confuses the opposition. This is your first exercise. You're gonna set up cones and you're gonna be running towards the cone. And as you're running towards the cone, when you're approaching to the cone, you're gonna learn to switch from inside to outside, because this is gonna give you the unpredictability. You can actually eliminate the defenders when you're doing this. If you are going faster with the ball, you can actually kick it a little further when you're dribbling, but as you're slowing down, you really need to keep the ball as close to your body, not straightly under you, but just like about a half a foot or a foot in front of you, so you can actually have a good control over the ball. And make sure you do this drill until you are so comfortable that you don't have to think about switching. You're not even thinking about it. It's just like you're used to it, and it doesn't affect you at all when you're thinking about it. You're not even thinking about it. Your dribbling technique really depends on your abilities. If you're a fast player, you don't really have to worry about the dribbling portion of this so much, where you can actually use your speed to be able to eliminate a defender, where you can kick the ball a little further and actually run faster towards the defender. Personally, I am a slow player, so I actually, as I'm approaching to the defender, I have to slow down, because what I'm doing is I'm stalling them, and I want to make the move before they can actually turn, because I have the advantage if I'm coming towards you, if you're a defender, because you're facing away from the net. My goal is to get around you so I can eliminate you, and by the time you turn, I'd be gone, because I have the advantage, I have the speed advantage. When you are going against the defender, you have the advantage to actually eliminate. Even if you're a fast player or a slow player, when you're approaching to the defender, you shouldn't really get closer than 2 meters, because defenders are stronger and they have long legs. So you actually want to avoid this. You want to avoid that distance where they can reach you, and they will reach you because they are good at slide tackling, or they are good at using their bodies to win the ball. So you need to keep that in mind as well, that you are the weaker player when it comes to physicality compared to a defender. And if you are playing against a smart defender will always wait for you to actually make the first move. Because if they make the first move, that is your clue. You can go around them. And this depends on the distance between you and the defender. So if you're too close, if they make the first move, they're gonna win the ball. So if you keep that distance that I just told you about, the 2 meters, they are trying to make a tackle from that distance, this is easy for you. But if you are too close, now if they make the tackle, they have better chance of winning the ball. So you keep that distance, but also try to wait for their move first. That's the difference between a smart defender and defender with not much experience. Defender with not much experience will want to make the tackle first. So this is your clue to get around them. But if you're playing against a smart defender, they will wait. They'll wait until the last second, until they get help. So their goal is to stall you, even if they can't win against you. So these are the clues that you really need to understand. When you are trying to learn the dribbling techniques, make sure you learn how the defender thinks, what their goal is, what their positioning is, because this is gonna indicate what you actually should be doing as your dribbling move. That's why I suggest to you that you don't only watch, if you're a winger, don't only watch winger videos, watch fullback videos, watch center back videos. This is gonna give you the clue and ideas of what they are capable of, where they are supposed to be, what position on the field they need to cover. First drill, we're gonna be setting up cones, about 1.5 feet away from each other, 6 to 8 cones, and you're gonna be dribbling and running in between them. I really want you to focus on keeping the ball close to your feet. You're gonna have to take smaller steps to be able to achieve this. Also, as you are taking smaller steps, keeping the ball closer to your body, I want you to get low, because this is gonna lower your center of gravity, and you're gonna be more stable when you're going shoulder to shoulders with the opposition and trying to dribble. And that's gonna really help you out to improve your dribbling abilities. I don't want you to be running with the ball like you swallow the stick. I want you to lower yourself, lower your center of gravity as much as you can. This makes it really tough for defenders to win those shoulder to shoulder challenges, because you are more stable, you have better balance as you go lower on the ground when you're lowering that center of gravity. Because you are learning to keep the ball close to your body when you're dribbling in between these cones, or in a game situation when you're running towards a defender, you want to keep that ball close to your body, right? So to be able to achieve this with these drills, you're gonna have to be as tight as possible to the cones. Pretend each cone as a defender, and as you're getting close to the cone, make sure you make it tight and sharp turn, and keep the ball close to your body. Very good composure over the ball, so the ball is not getting away from you. Do not allow balls to touch the cones. If it does, go back and start again, and that set is not counted. You have to restart. The other important thing to focus on here, lift your head up. You have to learn to lift your head up when you're running with the ball, when you're dribbling with the ball. Make sure you check the ball sometimes, but also always check the opposition, how close they are. So you can always start doing these drills by looking at the ball, that's fine. But as you improve, as you get better at it, as you get better understanding on how you can dribble in between these cones, you learn to lift your head up and you always look at where you're running. You're always looking at who you're running to. Because if you don't lift your head up, if you don't know where the opposition is, you're gonna be rushing and you're gonna be lacking confidence if you're rushing. So that's what we want to eliminate. When you see things, you don't rush, you have more confidence because you know where the opposition is. So that's what I need you to get used to doing these drills. This is where you get used to doing this stuff. You lift your head up, always pretend like you're seeing a defender, you're seeing that cone that you're running towards. This is really gonna make you confident when you step up on that pitch and dribbling towards a defender. Do this exercise 10 times, 3 sets. Second drill, we're gonna be setting up the cones again, but about 4 to 5 feet away from each other, diagonally. You're gonna be changing direction as you are staying very tight to the cones. Make sure you focus on staying tight to those cones and change your direction rapidly, very quickly, staying very tight to the cone, but always lifting your head up. Always look at the next cone that you're gonna be running towards. Make sure you get that habit of lifting your head up and seeing where you're running towards. Always focus on taking smaller steps. Also focus on lowering your body, taking smaller steps and making those sharp turns, staying very tight to the cones. And again, I want you to do this 10 times, 3 sets. And our third drill, you're gonna be setting up 2 cones. You're gonna be setting up a cone right in front of you and 10 meters straight away from you. And you're gonna be running in between the cones with the ball. And as you approach to the cone at the end, you're gonna be making sharp turn back to the cone where you started. And then you're gonna be doing this 10 times and 3 sets again. Make sure, because you have freedom now, you don't have cones in between to be dribbling around them, make sure now you're even lifting your head up even more than you did with the previous exercises. This is where you're gonna be using a little bit of a freestyle. You're gonna be doing what you need to do. But when you're doing all these drills, all these exercises, make sure you use left foot, right foot, outside of the foot, inside of the foot. Always change and always alternate. Always get used to using everything, using every opportunity, every option that you have. Especially in this third drill, I really want you to focus on keeping your body really low to the ground, keeping the ball really close to your feet and using as high intensity as possible. So you are running just like how you would run in a game basically. I guarantee you, if you do these drills 2-3 times a week, constantly for a couple of months, this is gonna give you the composure, confidence you need to keep the ball closer to your body so you can avoid the potential reach from the opposition, from the defender, so they can win the ball. That's what these drills are gonna help you avoid during the game. Lowering your center of gravity, staying tight to the cones and keeping the body close to your feet, taking smaller steps, larger steps and actually alternating in between these will really help you out. Also, lifting your head up and looking at where you're running is really gonna give you that confidence that you need in the games. I'll give you 3 simple exercises that you can do at home or on the pitch by yourself to improve your explosive speed.
Reaching that top speed could be quite challenging, especially if you're a naturally slow player like myself. This video will show you how to work out so you can get the right muscles stronger and activated to improve your explosive speed. A lot of people mistake speed and being quick. In my opinion, speed is something you're born with. Maybe you can improve a bit, but being quick and having that explosive momentum like Jeremy Doku or Kylian Mbappe can certainly be improved. First, we gotta know the ligaments and muscles you're gonna be focusing. It will really help you understand if you are doing the exercise right. All the way from higher glutes to behind your kneecap is what we are focusing on. Simply your butt and behind your leg. This is where explosive speed comes from. And the exercises I'll be showing you are exactly focusing on those spots. So let's get started with our first exercise. We will start by grabbing a regular football in your hands and lift the ball above your head. You're gonna be dropping the ball and trying to catch it before it lands on the ground while you're standing on one leg. Be on your toes and focus on bending your leg from the knee and feel the burn on your hamstrings. If you wanna know why we do this, I want you to try to sprint once, but really focus what your legs are doing as you're taking off. Exactly this. This exercise simulates that explosive action. It looks simple, but your hamstrings are gonna be sore. The goal here is to get your legs strong enough so you can do this exercise with weighted ball or something a little heavier. I want you to do this 10 reps for each leg and 3 sets. If you think you already have strong legs, you can start with 5-pound balls, which is about 2.5 kilograms. I highly recommend you stick with the balls to start with. On our second exercise, we are jumping over the ball 3 times each way on a single leg and sprinting at the end of the jumps. As soon as we land after the last jump, I need you to be really focusing on the takeoff. The takeoff has to be rapid. Timing is very important as you're landing. You'll notice your reaction will be slow at first, but as you do this more often, it will get quicker and quicker. So focus on reducing the time it takes for you to sprint as you land on the ground. You'll be doing this 3 reps each leg and 3 sets. Definitely no break in between the reps, but in between the sets you can have 10 seconds break. Before we get to the last exercise, if you're enjoying this video, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel and drop a comment. Let me know if you find the video useful. On our third exercise, we'll be spinning around the ball with very quick feet. Smaller steps, try to stay as tight to the ball as possible. Full turn around the ball 3 times and sprint at the end, about 5-meter sprints. Really focus on taking off and your small steps. Do this 5 reps, 3 sets. First, facing where you're gonna sprint, then another 3 reps, 5 sets facing away and turning and sprinting. This is a really good exercise to simulate when you receive the ball and quickly turning and taking off, which happens quite often in the game. Quite often you're gonna have a defender behind you, so you need to get used to quick spinning and taking off actions. Just remember, all these players who are rapid, like Jeremy Doku, Mbappe, Alphonso Davies, obviously had some speed naturally, but they also worked very hard to make the speed even better and stronger. If you do my drills just once, it's not gonna help you. You need to be doing them continuously, 3 times a week, at least forever really. Just because you got faster doesn't mean you can stop now.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please drop a like, subscribe to my channel with the notifications on. You can also find my playlist right over here. Thanks for tuning in and I will see you next time.